Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Hot Topic with Copville. Here we are, another edition of Live Hot Topic with Copville. I've got my man, the IA guy. What's up, buddy?
Mike, what's going on, brother? How are
Hey,
you,
man.
bro?
Good. How you been out there? You were my first real big podcast I did after I came out of the closet.
Yeah, you know what? And I thank you for sharing your story. Sharing your journey. Really happy to see you grow, and anything that I can do to help you, I'm here for you, brother. So thanks for inviting me.
I appreciate it. And we talked pretty in depth on your show about my IA. So if anybody, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared to go over it myself. And I really almost think it's kind of one-sided if I go over it myself. I told the story on your show. If anybody wants to go back and look out the IA podcast on YouTube, my whole story, my whole breakdown on there. I'm going to bring up, we're going to talk about parts of my IA tonight that involve some of the body camera and some of the audio from that show incident. And I don't want to interject my opinion. You're the IA guy. You did it for years and years with LA PD. I'm just going to present some of the portions of the investigation, what was said, and let you and everybody watching and anybody decides to watch, you formulate your own opinion on what you think. And that's all I'm going to say. You got anything to add to that?
No, you know what? What I will say is this particular assignment in internal affairs requires, we can all say, that we all preach, right? It requires integrity. It requires for you to, the way I see it is that no stone goes unturned. And when we get into this, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. But you got to take it serious, whether it's minor or major. It's a very serious assignment for you to be investigating your colleagues. So let's get to it, bro.
And I'll give a little backstory. I don't want to interrupt, but this was a flee and elude that ended in the front yard of a residence where the defendant drove to his house about 1,500 yards to 2,000 yards from the start to finish. He was avoiding the tow bill. He knew he was probably going to jail, so he drove home. And during the course of this incident, I had an interaction with his mother and father. This wasn't like a beach community or a condo. This was a meth house where this guy had been in trouble for meth, shit all over the yard. So I have some type of interaction. I end up arresting the son for fleeing and eluding, and I arrest the dad. You can hate it, you can like it. I'm not going to debate my arrest. I'm just going to let you see how the arrest was explained by one of the deputies and then what the deputy said in IA, and we're going to take it from there. Sound fair?
Let's go, man.
All right, so here is the body cam. This is going to be post-arrest, after the dude is arrested, and this is Deputy Renato More, who has the subject in custody, my probable cause, and this was his interaction with that subject.
And hatred. I have done nothing. I'm standing on my damn porch, man. I have not yelled or made any kind of...
I'll fix the cup for you, right?
Lean against the car. I appreciate it.
Lean against the car?
Sure.
Just gonna replace the cup with my cup, okay?
This is like something out of a science fiction story. I cannot... I don't understand. That's not that. We live in a free country where property owners have rights.
When you have a felony that's just committed on your property and you're told to go back in your house, that's a right of law
Nobody told me anything about a felony or anything else.
See him get arrested
I
and all
thought it
this
was
go
a
on?
traffic stop.
You didn't see him get arrested? He was in the car. He's in the back of my car arrested. When I told you to keep going inside, we're trying to conduct an investigation.
No.
We have to tow the car. You keep coming out yelling at us.
I didn't come out yelling at you. I did not come out.
Camera,
I did not yell. Look, go ahead, look at the camera.
I will.
Only thing I did was try to be heard over the siren.
And I told you to go back in the house when the siren was off. He told me no.
Against the car.
I don't have any idea of anything of it. That's a little better.
Just got to double lock them, okay? Because that way they don't tighten up on you.
Alright. I cannot believe I'm going to go to jail sitting on my own porch for nothing. I have been utterly reasonable, other than I don't like being ordered to go into my house while I'm standing on my porch. You mind if I turn around?
You can't close the scene while we're conducting an investigation. All right, your son failed to stop in traffic stop and
He's a dumbass.
Well, that's a felony, and now he's in your driveway, so you can't obstruct.
I wasn't obstructing. I didn't try it.
When you're saying stuff and deviating everybody's attention from the main problem, that's called obstruction.
I went in the house.
So you were making a scene out here. Oh, you saw the scene in the car.
Well,
Okay.
we're just going to have to disagree on that point. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, of course. You want your seatbelt on?
All right. So, any further? I mean, you watched them longer than I did. That's about
Yeah. What seems to transpire in this whole incident, and I just want to kind of give it a little bit more color to it, is that you made an arrest of his son, right, for a felony.
correct.
And it's in front of his house. So what ends up happening is these are a lot of things you got to take in consideration. You got mom and dad outside. They're yelling, they're interrupting, they're interfering. You got some colleagues there that are trying to maintain the scene, contain whatever it is that you got to
And
preserve for,
One second,
evidence.
and for
Yeah.
everybody else, you saw the whole body camera, correct? You
That's
watched the whole
correct.
thing. So you saw
Yeah.
the initial Okay. I'm not going to go into
Yeah.
that because I don't want to debate that part of it. I have no
Right.
problem. I will, but you saw all of it.
I did see all of it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm not,
what
I'm
ends-
not hiding anything. I want you to make it clear.
No.
I'm not trying to fabricate anything. I'm not Okay. Okay.
Well, we're not buds and we're not friends. We just
Exactly.
met. We ended up meeting.
And that's what, through
and
the internet.
you
And I
came to
wanted
my
you-
show, and
Good.
yeah.
I want you to be brutally honest about
this is
your
completely
involvement.
independent, and this is completely based on my experience and my training, and I do this for a living when I
Okay.
consult and
Okay. Just
and
making
get
sure. 'Cause if you got to
selected
throw me
for,
under the bus, dude, you have every right to say anything you want.
right. Well, the only criticism that I have about the whole thing is that, and it's not really much criticism. Look, you decided, along maybe with your partners, you probably didn't communicate it to your partners, but you decided that, you know what, I'm going to effect an arrest. I've had this interaction with mom and dad. Well, with mom and dad, but dad mainly, who just kept interrupting and interrupting. And at one point, it is what it's what it's called, right? Obstruction of justice, interfering with an investigation. There's a penal code for that. And so you made that decision to go ahead and effect an arrest. Like you and I were talking earlier, right? Back in our days in the academy, what you knew about use of force was what? Effect an arrest, prevent an escape, or overcome resistance. It's either one of those three. Of course, decades have gone by, and now it's a little more complicated, and it's the law, right? However, when you decide to effect an arrest, you have a certain threshold, and you just said, I had enough, and you use force to effect an arrest. And the takedown, like I always say, it's not pretty, man. It's never going to be textbook. And it's exactly what happened. Now, if anybody wants to question how is it that you came to that decision to effect an arrest, well, we all have different thresholds. Some people are going to say, some people are going to say, well, you know what? You could have de-escalated a little bit more, right? Someone's going to say, well, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have went hands-on. Some other are going to say, well, there is another method. Maybe he should de-escalate, right? We use this buzzword, de-escalate.
That's the big one right now.
That's the big one right now. That's the sexy buzzword. However, with all that being said, what your audience needs to know is that when you de-escalate, you can use force in order to accomplish de-escalation. It's part of it. And that's exactly what happens. So I'm going to leave it at that when it comes to
now when
that
you're saying
particular
I want you to, and you saw it and you explained. Now, did I throw any punches or strikes?
No, it's like, look, man, you did, I don't know if you do some BJJ or nothing, but you guys got right to it.
Okay.
No
strikes, no punches, no kicks.
I'll give you an
elbows.
example, man. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was a sergeant, just like you, I was working an overtime detail. I was working the trains and the buses. And to make the long story short, I ran right in front of me, this lady that was getting beaten up. And so I get out of the car, I ask for a backup, and my officers arrive. Now, this suspect is laid down prone, right? and he's not moving. And I'm telling my guys, listen, the minute that you touch him or put hands on him, you need to cuff him and effect that arrest as quick as you can. I don't care what it looks like, how it looks like, but you gotta handle business as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So that takedown, to me, that was pretty textbook, bro.
And I will criticize myself. One of the mistakes I made was I actually pulled my handcuffs out before I went hands on, which is a stupid mistake. I made a bunch of mistakes. I was stupid and we didn't watch that part. When I actually arrested the guy because it was a flee and eluding, I should have stood at the back of the car. I should have made it into a felony stop, and I got sucked in. I ran up to the car and I pulled him out and I cuffed him against the car. Yeah. Bad tactics. I also pulled my handcuffs out, but to me that was almost de-escalation as well. Like, hey, dude, it's like we're done. Like handcuffs came out. Stupid though. I can be very critical of myself. So I made a dumb mistake by pulling my handcuffs out, which could have led to him getting them, then becoming a weapon, a lot of things. But it went well. The takedown, I was accused. I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know if I told you. I was accused of a chokehold during that takedown, which was absolutely not a chokehold and was proven to not be a chokehold. But they tried the actual whole use of deadly force against me in a non-deadly force situation, which whatever. So now you've heard that was that deputy's description to the suspect with nobody talked to him beforehand. Nobody gave him any.
Right.
Okay. So that was that. This is his IA testimony about the same incident. And I'm going to play it from, he gets through all the bullshit recorded, do you want a lawyer, all that stuff. This is the same deputy. This is his version of what happened when he goes to IA that day. Now, the incident occurred November 17th, 2020. 2020. Okay. Got promoted. Hold on. I'm going to get in trouble for getting it wrong. He took over in 21. This is, I can't remember. One of those years. This is November. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I get served in January. So November, December, January. And this guy's interview is now probably February, March. So this has been November, December, January, February, at least 3 months later. This is his testimony about what you just witnessed.
Between mom and dad, again, I don't recall their names exactly. I remember seeing both Sergeant Dilks and informing the residents to get back in the house. I think after several attempts, they I don't know which one of them took him down. There was a takedown after he refused to follow their commands. They took him down, and I was fairly close to it. I think I assisted with the handcuffing. I don't recall exactly, but I was fairly close to the takedown location. After that, he was put into my car. I placed him in my car, and I transported him to the jail. Sergeant Dilks informed me to just do a supplemental for resisting arrest without violence, and I did that. And he was sitting next to me at the jail. So I just asked him how he wanted me to word it regarding their incident, because as far as my involvement, I didn't know what happened prior to my arrival. I don't know if the guy was already warned not to intervene, not to hinder the investigation. But as far as me, I didn't have anything to arrest him.
He didn't have anything to arrest him. Now, did you notice he almost accidentally said the word obstruction and then he changed it?
Yeah.
And I want you to be honest. You're an IA investigator. You watched that body cam video of this guy telling his story to the defendant, and then you hear that interview to IA. Do they sound like the same person was at the same scene?
No. Well, a couple of things, Mike. First of all, if I'm the IA investigator, we would have called a timeout, got off the record, and I would have said, look, did your client ever watch body-worn video? And if the answer is no, you know what? I highly suggest that he does. Now, that accountability goes on both the IA investigator and the attorney and him. So you got three people who you should hold accountable for not preparing for such an important interview.
This was an investigation against two supervisors.
Right. So you got to prep.
Let me show you the initial the allegation. I got that picture here too. Let me show you what I was charged with. Charges. So here's what I'm charged with from a resisting arrest misdemeanor charge. This is what they got me with. They got me with general knowledge, code of conduct, group 1, which is minor. They got me with excessive and unnecessary force. Now, that was originally the group 3 fireable, arrestable use of deadly force. And they originally charged me with that. Then they got me for neglect of duty, willful neglect of official duties. And then they got me for this one. Nobody has ever been charged with in the history of the agency in any situation. We've had guys commit rape. We've had guys commit robbery on duty.
Yeah.
We've had guys do everything. They charged me with the code of ethics, official employee. Basically, that one was, I was so dangerous to the community that I violated the actual law enforcement, like state code of ethics that we all swear to.
Right.
Over a misdemeanor arrest. That's what they came up with.
Yeah. So a couple of things, Mike, keep that up on the screen because this is what we call in our world stacking. So they kind of stacked a whole bunch of these geos. It happens a lot. And I've been doing this ever since I retired because my beloved LAPD doesn't do stuff like this. In other words, knowing look, if we're going to cut a face sheet and do an IA on Mike, okay, what do we got here? Well, we have maybe an unauthorized use of force. Okay, cool. Let's frame that allegation.
Hold on 1 second. Let me stop you. The bottom one was not added till after my interview.
Right. So
these three were these three were there. I interviewed and I got reserved with the additional code of ethics violation post.
Now, were you interviewed because of that?
They didn't re-interview me again.
Right. So
and there was no additional charges added. There was no who added it, or my new allegation was never served.
Of course, we don't know. Yeah,
so
we don't know.
They stacked that one on afterwards. Okay.
Yeah, so they stacked. So getting to that, I would have had something along the lines of an allegation framing that you use unauthorized force, whatever, right? Maybe unlawful arrest. That's another allegation I would have thought about. Okay, what else? To address this conduct unbecoming the Cubo, well, the way I analyze a Cubo is anything that's negative, that reflects so badly on the eyes of the public, the department, and all other stakeholders, right? It's got to be like a conscience to society. Like, oh my God, this is just so bad. It looks horrible. In other words, we're in the business of it doesn't look good, right? It's kind of one of those. All right. Well, hold on a second. But how many things do we do when we use force that doesn't look good? Right? 1, 2, you tell me, have you had colleagues and even yourself under the same circumstances where you arrest someone in front of someone's house and next thing you know, parents are coming out, neighbors are coming out, and you're just handling business, right? You're trying to maintain control the crowd.
I worked the hood for 20 years almost. So.
There you go. So exactly, you're a hoodlum. So you work the hood. What I'm saying, if it's the hood, you know what? I'm gonna call bullshit on that one because it doesn't reflect negative whatsoever. You did a takedown, bro.
Let me stop you there. Guess who the complainant was on this?
It must have been the department when they did the Cubo.
No, there was no complaint filed, but the department did the entire IA initiation. The citizens never complained.
Correct. Which
the citizens went to jail. Nobody complained, and mysteriously, one of the people involved, what I assume happened was the lieutenant working that day, and the female officer that's there. We're gonna get into her little slick mouth. We're talking, and I think she must have mentioned the arrest, like, oh, they arrested this guy, blah blah blah. And my arrest was November 17th. On December 16th, Lieutenant Savita watched my video for the first time because I could see the audit trail. And then the next day, Captain Tony Consolo dove in and then was in it every day from December 17th until January 4th when the complaint came in. So
Right.
this was a self-initiated non-citizen complaint.
Correct.
Body
Which normally
cam, we're not
happens.
going to hang our guys with body cam and all that. This was
Right. Well, just so you know, that is kind of like a common practice. It shouldn't be, but it is.
no, I know. It's
For
not,
example,
but it's not at our agency because it doesn't normally
right.
happen like this. And this video, just so everybody
More,
knows, not hidden.
more,
I sent this to the
yeah.
state attorney the next day. I
Mhm.
put the video uploaded. Everything went. I was completely satisfied with the arrest
Yeah.
on him and his son. Everything got sent in. Nothing was hidden.
Yeah.
No problem. Everything was pushed forward. So
Yeah, more reasons to believe that they targeted you. It's more than just this. Let's just be clear and call it what it is. It's not just this particular incident and you arresting the dad. It's more than that. It involves.
And I didn't tell you that.
You. No,
Yeah,
I can see it because I've been doing this for quite some time. I've seen this movie before, and the unfortunate part about it is so just so your audience knows, if you and I right now here in LA, right, go to a bar, get all jacked up, and next thing you know, I don't know, we get pulled over and we get jammed up by cops, and they tune us up, right? You and I can get an attorney and file a claim for damages, right, for excessive force. That's an automatic internal affairs investigation. That's an automatic IA. Now, the other way of handling that is body worn video or someone, look, like I always say, there's always one blue falcon in every single department, just one. Sometimes you even have more, but let's just go with one because all it takes is one blue falcon to say, hold on a second. Let me look into this. And in their lens, you know what? It's Mike. Fuck that guy. Let's just go ahead and move forward. And you know what, brother? Unfortunately, you are part of not a mass, but you're part of that process, man. And you're part of that victimization of the process and that you got tagged. And it sucks because I get it a lot. I just got a case from the state of Washington from a police department called Kent PD. They fired the guy for untruthfulness, which was BS. I wrote it all up. And now he's in the process of getting his decertification removed. And then I got another kid from Washington, D.C., Maryland, some PD, same thing. And it just happens over and over and over again. And the saddest part about it, that it doesn't become about the actual IA investigation.
Yeah.
It becomes about, it gets personal. It gets self-serving. No one really wants to know exactly what needs to be done. Issue number one, if you have a discrepancy or there is some contradicting misunderstandings, right? There's some, not so much contradicting terms, contradicting facts. Like if I'm watching body worn video and I'm like, okay, I can see where the LT and the captain are going with this. All right, let me ask this guy, one of the witnesses. And when I'm in my compelled interview and you are telling me a whole different story, you know what? You have to stop the tape and then ask yourself two things. One, did you watch body worn video? And if the answer is no, you know what? We're going to reschedule this whole interview until you actually watch body worn video. You want to know why? The attorney and the witness are going to say, yeah, why? Because you know what? What I watched and what went down is completely contradicting to what you're stating right now. So I'm going to give you another chance to, I'm not going to say come clean, but I'm going to give you another chance to really hone in and be clear, right? Because we're in the business of clarity, to make sure that what went down is exactly how it went down. Because what you're telling me right now has a lot of misrepresentation and has a lot of misunderstanding. And guess what? It's my job, right? And I'm obligated by policy to clear up those misunderstandings. So we're going to reschedule this interview and you better go watch body worn video. Because here's the deal, bro. That deputy, what's his name? Maury. Yeah. Deputy Maury, that's borderline misleading. Just the fact that he made those particular statements, that can be an allegation that I could frame, if I wanted to, of misleading statements. However, in order for me to do that, like preponderance, right? 51%, more likely than not, I have to be very, very clear. And I'm probably going to ask the Deputy Maury, okay, look, we're here. We're back on the record. Today's date is such and such, such. Okay, did you get a chance to watch body worn video? And he's going to say yes. Okay, now I'm going to ask you questions about how this actually happened. And then I'm going to go and open up that door and ask those questions over and over and over again. And guess what? If you're still going to give me that same statement or that same answer that you did originally, you know what? You leave me with no choice but to make an inference, to infer that you are giving me a misleading statement. And so what I will write up is on such and such date, Deputy Morey gave a misleading statement during an official investigation.
And
that's the way I see it.
And I want it to stand on its own, but I look at it where he tells the eye investigator, what we just listened to, that he didn't have anything. I would question what he told, what was his basis then for telling the guy at the car what he had. That was his own words. And it sounds a lot like obstruction resisting to me.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
not only that, didn't he say in his interview, well, you know what? I couldn't determine what we were arresting him for. Well, hold on a second, bro. You were there. You know exactly what he was being arrested for.
And that's where
you guys negotiated. I think at one point in his in his body worn video, he says, hey, I got good news and bad news. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes on, and not only that, he has a full blown conversation for like 15, 20 minutes on his way to transporting him to jail.
Now,
so
I don't want to play that for everybody.
PS button.
Yeah, I don't want to play that for everybody, but they act. So here's what, and to just let everybody know what's going on here in the IA, because they said, as you listen to that conversation on the way to jail, he's not as descriptive in his account. And they use the drive to the jail in the paperwork to say during the drive in, Morey had a hard time articulating or telling the guy why he was arrested. So that, to me, now IA is limiting what they're talking about, because he clearly, unless I'm crazy, he clearly on the body cam video we just played for everybody didn't have any trouble explaining. I'm going to play it one more time. We're going to go back.
I want my seatbelt.
I'm going to go right back here and just go.
They
right
told
here.
me anything about a felony or anything else.
See him get arrested?
I thought it was a traffic stop.
You didn't see him get arrested? He was in the car.
The loudmouth
My
is me
car
talking
arrested.
shit.
When I
just
told
so
you to keep
everybody
going
knows.
inside, we're trying to conduct an
No.
investigation.
No.
We have to tow the car. You keep coming out yelling at us.
I didn't come out yelling at
You did.
you. I did not come.
That's not camera,
I did
man.
not yell.
Okay.
No, go ahead, look
Okay,
at the camera.
I will.
Only thing I did was try to be heard over the siren.
And I told you to go back in the house when the siren was off. You told me no.
You saw the registered owner of the vehicle?
I don't have any idea of anything of it.
He doesn't even know what his son's vehicle looks like.
A little better.
Don't forget to
Got a double lock.
also put up on the screen the part that I was talking to you about
Which part?
with the audio. That disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Sign
I
off
don't
on
have to
it.
have
That's
to do
your
that.
report.
Okay.
I cannot believe I'm going to go to jail sitting on my own porch for nothing. I have been utterly reasonable, other than I don't like being ordered to go into my house while I'm standing on my porch. You mind if I turn around?
You can't close the scene while we're conducting an investigation. All right, your son failed to stop on a traffic stop and left.
He's a dumbass.
Well, that's a felony, and now he's in your driveway, so you can't obstruct.
I wasn't obstructing. I didn't try it.
When you're saying stuff and deviating everybody's attention from the main problem, that's called obstruction.
I'm going to stop it there because I'm just going to
Yeah.
get mad. I mean, IA said that he had trouble telling the guy what he was being arrested for. It doesn't sound to me like he had much trouble.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think your friend Steve, is it Ladner?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
He's you can put as much effort in that as you want. He says the same thing every week. But if you want to answer him, go ahead. Let's put it
No,
up.
I don't know what he means. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or.
He is. No, he's basically he's a believer that we're like militia government.
Oh, us.
Self-proclaimed heroes that violate people's rights. He's a big fan.
So we're all of us.
Yeah, it's
Got
all of us.
It's all of us.
So there is
But
that.
there is a profession. There's general contractors, nurses, doctors, lawyers. They're not held at a high standard because they never get in trouble like we do.
Yes.
Or it's in the news.
So I want to go into one more part. I'm going to bring this up. So during the incident, another deputy had an interaction with this subject that was arrested. And I want you to look at what IA wrote
Yes.
and what was talked about. So as the siren is still blaring in the roadway, Blank walked towards Mr. Bailey, who was the guy in the blue shorts that was arrested, as he exits the residence and stops. Mr. Bailey then takes 2 steps forward towards blank and stops. Blank instructs Mr. Bailey to step back several times. However, he does not comply. I'm going to stop you right there. You have a felony in the front yard. You have a crime scene.
Yeah.
IA writes that word. Mr.
Yeah.
Bailey is told to step back several times. However, he does not comply. Anyway, that's just words. Blank then shoves Mr. Bailey backwards. In her interview, Blank said she used to push to get Mr. Bailey to back up, that he has gotten too close. Body-worn camera shows that Mr. Bailey was within 3 to 4 feet of Blank, and her pushing him was not unreasonable based on the circumstances.
Yeah.
What
Or
does that-
reasonable. It was
what-
reasonable.
Yes. So what does that paragraph sound like to you?
Well, it sounds like it's justified. The use of force has justification. Look, when I go through an analysis of a use of force, any application of a use of force, we use the quote unquote substantial deviation from department policy, tactics, and procedure without justification. So basically, what the way we analyze use of force, and this is my beloved LAPD, is we say that for any time that you're going to apply any type of tactics, to, in this case, effect an arrest, you're going to deviate. There's going to be some slight deviation. There's going to be deviations because nothing is textbook, right? You got real life variables, lighting conditions, weather conditions, just things that you just don't learn in the academy because this is real life shit, So anyways, when you deviate, you can substantially deviate. The question is, how do you measure substantial? And each of us have a different lens. Now, what the department's saying is that you can substantially deviate. However, can you justify your actions? And 9 times out of 10, you can. You just have to be able to articulate why those actions are. Hey, look, we are, like you said, this is a crime scene. We just got done arresting his son of a felony arrest, right? And I don't know who this individual is. The mom is also distracting me along with the father. I don't know if there's any weapons in the house. I don't know if she's going to come out with a weapon. I don't know how close he's going to get. And yes, I'm a female and I can hold my own ground. But if he comes any closer, depending on his stature, he's taller than me. He weighs more than me. There is nothing that I could have done besides the fact that I had to push him out of the way in order to continue our investigation without having this Mr. whoever he is impeding or interfering with our investigation.
Yes.
So
and
that's the way I would have explained it.
Yes. And just so you know, backstory, there was actually, when I explained, I go to the jail, and let me clear up some of those things that happened. I go to the jail and I actually explained to the defendant, and just about a week prior to this incident, there was a video on Instagram, which I watch a lot of police videos to train, where the police were set up on a crime scene and a gentleman came in the crime scene and started shooting the cops. So that's always an option, right? In today's world, God knows what's going to happen. At this point, I'm ready for drones to start carrying bombs at some point.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that had just happened. I actually explained that. Now, this incident you see the charges. Those are pretty serious charges, correct? Like what they charged me with?
Well, I'm going to go out and say no, besides the Cubo.
Okay, because the 2 group 3s though are fireable, just so you know.
I don't understand. How do you categorize the groups?
Yeah, the group 3 are both fireable offenses, just so you know. That's okay. Just up to firing. So
got it. Those are fireable offenses.
The reason I preface that is at the time of this incident, I am a United States Marshal Task Force officer. I am a why am I going blurry? Am I blurry on your screen?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Right when you say Marshal Task Force, you went blurry.
That's not good. I don't know what's going on. You can hear me. There we are. So I'm a U.S. Task Force member. I am a street crime supervisor that leads a unit that does high-risk felony warrants. I'm a SWAT team member, and I was never put on admin leave, relieved of duty, or missed a day of work from January 5th when I got served till June 13th-ish till I got demoted. So I worked
Yeah.
for 6 more months.
Mhm.
And here's the funniest part. The day I got the charge added, I was 1 county down with my gun to the dude's head that was a murder suspect that we tracked and arrested. And I got back in my car, almost had to shoot a dude. And I got a text from the captain that said, I need you to come to my office. I drove back all the way to my county and got served with the additional charge. I'm like, wow, what a great day this has been. So
Wow.
there was talk that I was going to be arrested, that there was possible criminal charges. I'm trying to think how you could go to a group 3 fireable offense and never miss a day of work.
Yeah. You know what? Well, let me ask you this though, Mike. How many IAs did you have before that?
Plenty.
Okay.
No,
And,
I had,
how
I
many
think I was
sustained? How many sustained?
Maybe I had 2 or 3 on-duty crashes, and I think that was it. The only sustained IAs I ever had. Oh no, I got the TikTok one. So I got social media violation, group 1. I got
Okay.
a letter of counseling, and I had 2 or 3 crashes in my career. I've been in numerous use of force IAs, all cleared all.
What
Never
was the
had
last sustained IA before this incident?
the TikTok letter of counseling for violation of the social media policy.
How long ago was that?
That was April of 2020, and this was 2023.
Okay. So it was 3 years. 3 years.
Correct.
Nah, I just don't see the two. You're doing your job. Look, there's no to
Never
me,
one use of force sustained complaint in 20.
that's what I was going to say. How many uses of forces have none?
Zero sustained.
Yeah.
Progressive. It's supposed to be progressive discipline.
Of course, targeting.
So,
This is a classic case of targeting, bro. I think you and I have talked about this. You know, look, one of the main reasons why internal affairs gets such a bad rap, you know, and that negative stigma is attached to it is because in these last decades, we're going decades, and the shittiest part, it's still happening now, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do a podcast with IA content, is because we just can't get away from that negative stigma. And it's situations like this that gives IA a bad name, you know, and it's shitty because it gets personal. I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it, is that at some point during the process, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it gets personal. It gets self-serving. We don't like Mike. Get rid of Mike. That's the way it is. What was I reading? Or I was reading something where there was a case not too long ago where the chief was quoted, quote unquote, get rid of that bitch. And they fired her, you know? So it just sucks, man. And you know what? I'm doing God's work here, and I got a lot of work to do, you know, lot of work to do. What I will say to your audience, just keep in mind that, and you know this, and you shall always keep this in mind, because you got to look at it from a bird's eye view, is there's over how many? 18,000 police departments throughout the United States. There's close to 1 million sworn police officers across the nation. And so when we look at cases like yours, it's a very, very small fraction. But you know what? That small fraction, we got to stop it, even if it's that small, because that's not right. It's not right.
Here. We got the jiu-jitsu guy said awesome stuff. Point Man podcast. Marlon.
That's
Brothers.
my dude.
Yeah. He's excited.
He's a good dude.
We got Chris N that said great stuff, guys. We appreciate it. And of course we got Steve here that says I was probably running around on chemicals, jacked up, acting like a fool. I mean, I've done steroids. Whatever. Marlon is retired, right?
It'll be 3. As a matter of fact, July, 2 weeks, it'll be 3 years. Hell yeah, I'm retired. I love it. You know, what I will say is that I've never felt more purposeful or more relevant ever since I started the podcast, because I get to meet guys like you, Counterculture, Tyler, all over, and we are just doing such good work to get the voice out.
And you know what? Here's some of the stuff I will admit. Could I have done things better that day? 100%. And to quote my wife, I could get up in the morning. I could do everything better. Every task could be done better. The problem is here's some of the factors that go into this. The IA investigator was recently promoted to lieutenant and had never been a detective, had not gone to any IA candidate, no IA school. No, that's common down here. You just get moved around.
Yeah.
This is like the first big investigation. Never a detective, never done anything, no critical incidents, no pursuits, no use of forces. So, you know, you look at it like you're supposed to be investigated by people that are competent, to perform these type of investigations. If this was a homicide investigation and I had body cam video of that guy saying what he said, Moray, and then wrote what they wrote, if that's a murder case, that case is getting thrown out for like misleading statements or omitted, because omission is lying.
Yeah. No,
omitting
100%.
facts or not. So I would imagine, I'm telling you that I bring this case to you, and I don't mind the criticism. I don't mind people there. Let me tell you what happened after this. They took this video and they blasted us to the whole agency and showed everybody about what not to do. You know what problem with that was? Most of the people didn't see a problem with it and said, I've seen a lot worse on video. Then they put it on the news. They blasted us on the news, and the phone rang off the hook of people going, what did you do wrong? And I'm like, bro, you saw it. Like, you tell me, like, what did I do wrong? Like, the way it was portrayed was, you saw it. You saw the whole rest. The way this was portrayed was, I was some violent maniac that was a danger to the community. That's the way they wrote this up.
Yeah, of course they're going to sensationalize it. Mike, look, I'm glad that we connected. I barely even know you, and I'd be the first one to tell you that, hey man. And by the way, I get calls for people to hire me to look at their eyes and just tear it up. I'll call it a biopsy.
And I sent you the whole thing, just so everybody knows.
And you did. And I wanted to have, and what I wanted to do is, I definitely want to have, I want to run it back with you, and we can talk about it whenever you feel comfortable, because again, it's all about lessons learned. But what I will say is, I'm going to call bullshit on two things. One is the possible misleading statements on the witness. And the other is just the seriousness. Why are we framing allegations for an arrest of that? I don't know. I've seen a lot of takedowns that don't look good. They look ugly, but they took them down and they affected the arrest. To me, this is a classic case of targeting. I've seen this movie before, and I'm not saying it because I know you. What I am saying is that as far as, reflecting on it now and taking a look at it, people call it Monday night quarterbacking. I hate that term, but if we're going to be critical about what you could have done, and just remember this also is, whenever you are involved in a use of force incident, right, that is going to be scrutinized, the majority of the experts or command staff, whoever it is, whoever's lens it is, you're always going to get criticized and scrutinized about the things that you could have done, as opposed to the things that you actually did when you applied force and effected an arrest. So with that in mind, yes, Mike, you could have probably came out with a better plan. Did you come up with a plan? Probably you weren't thinking about it at the time. In your mind, you said, you know what? Fuck that. This guy, I'm going to arrest him for obstruction justice, whatever that penal code is. Could you would have communicated that with your colleagues? Yes. Is there another method or tactic that you could have used? You know what? Having to reflect on it. Yes. What I could have done is ask my partner to maybe, or whoever's got that rapport, say, sir, you know what? Look, this is not working. Why don't you come over here with me to the car? Let me talk to you in private. I got to tell you a little something about your son. That, I don't want to yell it out because your neighbors are here. Why don't you come closer to me? And then just have them walk away from the house. And then next thing you know, click, click, code 4 in custody. That's what we call it. So the thing is that there's a lot of things that you could have done different. But if we're going to scrutinize you and measure that you deviated from what you know of applying force, well, I mean, how long have you been a cop when that happened?
20 years. Just short.
Okay. And in 20 years, how many times? And this is not your first takedown, right?
That was actually one of my better ones. I learned I went to, and actually the female there actually did the best takedown, the wrap around the waist and and I took the brunt of the fall. I landed on my left elbow and took the brunt of it. But honestly, there was zero.
Well, these are the conversations that you should be having when you're, especially as an IA investigator. Hey, boss, you know what?
This is how I felt it should have went.
That's what I said. I would have said something like, "Hey, boss, this is a takedown." But really, I mean, come on. This is like a BJJ. This is a BJJ. You know what? He should be teaching others how to do fucking takedowns, because That's like kind of close to textbook because you guys arrested him like right away, bro. It didn't take that long. It took like less than a minute.
You know, in the 90s, that would have been knee spikes, punches, kicks, elbows. That would have been a disaster. There was when it got done and I got served, and I'm like, use of force. I'm like, I didn't even throw a punch. I didn't throw an elbow.
Yeah.
There was nothing done to this dude.
No, a use of force. Well, no, takedown is a method.
I get it. I get it. I'm just saying, like, I thought, like, and then they said I choked him, and I'm like, okay.
No,
like,
that's I'll call bullshit on that.
Yeah. Well,
so
they removed that one.
Yeah, think of it this way: when you apply force, you know how you do a traffic stop, you get someone out, you put them up against the car. So you do firm grip, right? Firm grip, takedown, body weight. That's like I wouldn't say it's normal, but that's what you that's what you investigate.
Yes.
A use of force.
Yeah.
Firm grip, takedown, body weight.
Get to some of these.
And guess what? It's not textbook, bro. It never happens like it's supposed to.
I get it. I think that one was pretty good.
That was close minimal. To textbook, bro.
So fantastic work, Cody. We appreciate it. The jiu-jitsu guy. So glad there's people. I've had an eye investigation for cursing. Yeah, cursing is.
We call that tactical foul language.
Yeah. Thank you for speaking up to get that. We're going to continue to speak up, and I really like having I like having an eye guy to talk to, because I sent you this right after we talked the first time. I was like, take it, beat it up, do whatever you want with it. Yes. And I intentionally didn't talk to you in detail about any of this until we got on here, because I wanted to watch it generically with you and get your honest opinion. I told you, throw me under the bus if you feel necessary, because I'm that passionate about it, about this incident. And I take responsibility for, you're right. Could I have gone, did I even have to arrest him? I didn't have to. I didn't have to do anything. And that, that's another argument. The reason I felt so just not taken advantage of, so deceived by the agency, was I felt like the conversation you just had with me, that should have been my punishment. I should have been called in and said, look, dude, it's 2023. There's an that was the biggest part of this. There's an election coming up. We don't need any, stuff going on. Blah, blah, blah. And if they thought something was wrong with me, because some of the guys thought there were some wild accusations about why I was acting the way I was acting. Of course. And it was all nonsense. But one of them was agency initiated. The reason I was maybe a little upset, maybe, hey man, why don't you sit at a desk for a couple months? Like, chill out. You're out there running around like a maniac. You don't have to do all this stuff. And that, when the consensus got to me, when they finally got through all the bullshit, and they were told, there was guys that were told not to like it, and when they said it wasn't that bad, they were looked at like morons by these guys that came after me. But at the end of the day, when I said, I want it from everybody. I want the truth. The overall consensus was, the most I heard anybody say was, maybe suspended a day. Like, you know what? We're going to suspend. We took some money from him. So if the sheriff had to go on TV when this finally got the news and said, I took a day's pay from him, I think that was a little much. But if you want to suspend me, suspend. I was looking at maybe hey man, come in, sit down. You're on a desk for a month. Like, take a break. Let's not do that. There's an election going. Because again, that was the ultimate reason this was blown up, was the election. And
it's very unfortunate that, well, let me rephrase this. Hey, Mike, you know what? Don't let this incident define you. Your career. You've had some great moments, you've done great work. And so don't let this incident define you, even though at a blink of an eye, you're done because of this incident.
That's
and so it's kind of hard for me to say, it's kind of hard for me to say, hey, you know what? Don't let this define you. But at the same time, it kind of defines you leaving the profession.
I never worked another day on the road the rest of my career. That day, June of 2023, when I got disciplined, was essentially the end of my career. And when guys say, hey, you left, when I left last year, did you have that moment of like, I'm gone, and depression? No, when the depression started? When I got thrown in the news for this and demoted like a clown, and I was made a spectacle, like I was a broken toy after
100%.
21 plus years of 100% commitment to this job. And I don't say that, I don't try to brag. I gave this place everything I had for years and years and years.
It was your life. It's what defined
when they asked me my identity was, when I went to my first counseling session, I described what I just said to you, and the guy's like, "That's
Yeah.
the most wrong answer you could have. You're supposed to be a father. You're supposed to be a husband. You're supposed to
Yeah.
be a ball coach. Your job is a cop." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, my life is a cop. Like,
Yeah.
I wake up at 3 a.m. I'm ready to run out the door. I'm a SWAT guy. I'm on call.
Yep.
I gave this place everything I had, and in
Yeah.
that 25 seconds of that video where I put that guy in custody, my entire 20 some years
Yep.
went
And
to
you know
fucking
what?
shit.
You know, you're not alone, brother. I will say that I had a guest who was second to the top, believe it or not, second to the top of LAPD. The assistant chief come in, and boy, did the keyboard warriors come out of nowhere. And of course, I had to rebuttal and defend him. Like, hold on a second. I've been doing a podcast for a year and a half, and I've had 140 guests, and now you decide to jam this guy up because you think that because he was at the top and, you know, and he could have done things different. Same thing. He pretty much told the chief not to release his name to the media. He said, look, we don't do it. You haven't done it. I am asking you not to release my name to the media. Now, if you want to write an article, you're more than welcome to put assistant chief or command staff, but just don't use my name.
Mm-hmm.
And the chief said, nope, I'm going to go forward and use your name. And then his reply was, well, hold on a second. You didn't do it with so-and-so and so-and-so. You've had 3 other command staff officers, which, by the way, they were arrested and booked, right? And I wasn't even, there's no arrest. The charges were dropped. And you're going to smear me like that?
Yeah.
And he went ahead and did it. So the minute he did that, a couple of days later, he did a press conference. And, of course, all hell broke loose. But my point is that, yes, I think the media does such a disservice to all of us because we start thinking to ourselves, wow, you know, I've given this department everything since day one. And now this particular incident, because it's sensationalized, it's going to define me.
And it
We got to work on this stuff.
It only gets worse because I try not to throw everything at everybody at once. But let me tell you another little curveball they threw. I got promoted December 27th of 20, whatever year it was, 21. And no, I guess it was his first year, 20. So I get promoted in December. This incident happens November.
Uh-huh.
That's under a year. So I'm technically still on probation. I don't get served until January. They retroed my probation back to not only demote me for the sustained allegation, but said I had not met probation and I was being demoted for not making probation, which eliminated my ability to take it to a union board and fight it.
Oh, wow. It's just when were you on a probationary period as a sergeant?
I was, but I didn't get told I was extended. And where this goes is we had guys fired for like sexual harassment that happened while they were on probation.
Uh-huh.
They didn't go back and demote them down.
If I may ask, what happened? Did you appeal it or what's going on?
I couldn't. My union attorney goes, I can fight all the charges and we get them reversed. Your demotion is done. There's nothing we can do because you were still on probation.
How about a lawsuit for
Nobody will sue anybody in Florida. It's impossible. Nobody in Florida. I've reached out to who's the guy out there? McNichols, the guy out in McNichols. So I reached out to them. His partner helped me. We called around and everybody says you got a case, but nobody in Florida wants to sue the government. It's different than out in California. They're pretty big about suing the government out there. And up north, the unions are powerful.
Yeah.
They did not. This was the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. Indian River County Sheriff's Office where I worked. So no, everybody's like, hey man, sorry. Like, you know, and this went on the news.
Yeah.
So you expect like blowback, nothing. And you know what? This is how Blue Falcon, my agency is the news didn't pick it up. 2 or 3 weeks went by after my demotion. Nothing happens. The news reporter confirmed that somebody from the agency called the news network.
Oh yeah.
And said, hey, this dude's a piece of shit. Go pull this story. Yep. The funny thing is everything they did backfired because once everybody saw it, they were like, what?
Yeah.
What? They called. People that were friends with the sheriff that he thinks are his buddies. No, they weren't. They called me and go, dude, this guy's been showing us this video. They violated every law too, as far as IA. I got called by deputy chiefs and all that stuff to talk about this investigation.
To talk about this?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was basically told on a Sunday in my living room by a deputy chief that came to my house during an open investigation, this one, I was told to go grovel in my interview, and it would be the best bet. I did not grovel. I went in there and defended myself like I did
Yes.
today, and I
You
said,
should.
I
You should.
said, this is what I did. This is why I did it, and I stand by it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's when they added the charge. So I believe their added charge was like my testimony they felt was so bad that I stuck by my arrest that they added
Yep.
that charge. But I was told to grovel. Then I was told it was all going to be good. You know how it goes around the agency. And I can't.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Mike, if you don't
I don't know
mind,
what's
yeah,
that?
can you mind sharing that one disclaimer that we
I don't
talked
know
about?
if I have it. Did you? Was it in
Yeah,
the
it was when you
screenshots?
sent it to me. It was like in the beginning paragraph of the actual IA
Yeah,
that
I'd have
talks
to-
about, hey, if you don't,
let
it
me-
said something along the lines like, this is just a summary of the recorded interview of the witness. However, if
let me
you
see.
want to listen to the entire audio, go to the, well, if you want the entire
Let me see if I can find
interview,
Was it at the beginning of?
yeah,
their
it was
testimony?
one of those. It was one of those paragraphs that you sent over
In a screenshot or in the whole
in a
document?
screenshot. Here, let me pull
All right.
it up.
All right, hold on. There's a screenshot I have.
Yeah,
all
it's a
of it.
screenshot.
All right, hold on.
Well, you gave me access to. That's the link.
Yeah, because if it's the document, I have to find the page that the document is on. If it's the whole, because that's what I think it is. I think you're talking about the whole IA. I sent you. It's a massive.
There it is. Let me
Do
read
you have
it.
the page number?
It's
Because I have 253 pages.
Mari 2 body 3 page.
Should be a number. Is it a
Yeah,
screenshot? Or is it-
four. Mari 4.
All right, hold on. Is it a screenshot or is it the whole
Yes.
document?
Yeah, it's a screenshot. I'm
Really?
look this one right here.
I got it. Mari 4. Got it.
Mari 4.
Got it.
Put that bad boy up.
Gotcha. We're professionals here.
Yes.
All right.
About to hit a home run with this one.
File, Mori.
Yeah.
4.
I'm about to cook. I'm about to cook. About to cook IAs right here.
There it
Okay.
is right there.
Just take it to read. It says a recorded sworn interview of Deputy Renato Mare was conducted by Lieutenant Linda Nolan on January 13, 2023. The following is a summary of the interview, not a transcript. The recorded interview should be reviewed. Okay, let me repeat that. The recorded interview should be reviewed in its entirety for detailed information. Deputy Mare said he did not review his body-worn camera. That's problem number one. Prior to his interview, but did watch a portion of it at the jail the day of the incident. This is amateur work, bro. Amateur work. When asked how he became involved in the incident, he remembered hearing the call come out the radio and he was whatever. Okay. The recorded interview should be reviewed in its entirety. Here's where they actually contradict themselves, bro. If this is so serious that it's going to be a newsworthy event, and we're really considering a Cubo conduct unbecoming of an officer type of allegation, we have 2 Group 3 fireable terminations. You know what? Let's all stop what we're doing. Hey, Captain, Lieutenant, Deputy Chief, and me, the Chief, clear your calendars, because for the next couple of hours, we're all going to listen to every single transcript. We're going to read them or listen to them, whichever. Either read the transcripts or listen to the entire audio. Because here's the deal. What's paraphrased on the investigation doesn't give you the entire story. 1, 2, it paints and it guides the adjudicator to believe and to perceive that, oh, shit, something really, really bad happened. And so your job, and I say this a lot, your job, that's you, command staff, your job is to do that. If you are taking care of the rank and file like you say you are, and you're there for your officers, you know what? Don't even if there was a Blue Falcon, you already know the Blue Falcon brought it to your attention. You know what? Why don't you call him out? Call out the Blue Falcon and say, okay, hold on a second. I understand you flew in, got you, you're here, but let me check and see what I got to do. So my point is that turn every single stone. Do your job like you're supposed to. If you've never taken an internal affairs course, and even if you did, if you get death by PowerPoint, or if it's just check the box, that's not going to help you conduct a very thorough, good, well pleaded, well written, well informed for the next level. Here, adjudicator, you know what? Here's your entire interview. As a matter of fact, that lieutenant, whoever her name was, I would have put a note in there going, we asked Deputy Mare to watch body worn video, and he said he did not. Or we shut down the interview on such and such date because we felt it was necessary for him to review the entire body worn video because of the seriousness of this investigation, or something along those lines.
You know, I'm going to tell you with the Powerball winning numbers, guarantee nobody watched that part of the body camera when Moray described the arrest.
Of course not.
But in the summary that went to the deputy chief and the sheriff, it says Moray couldn't really articulate why he was arrested because that's his interview. So all they got to go on is what she wrote in that document, which is a summary.
Yes.
And he clearly felt that the guy resisted arrest because he told the guy in his own words why he obstructed and why he was going to jail.
Let me ask you this.
That's my point.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Another thing about your IA. That lieutenant that wrote it up, if I may ask, did she have a heading or somewhere in that investigation for findings? Did she make the outcome? Or who makes the outcome?
Yes. She summarized it as what she thought what the findings were.
Okay, so she determined an outcome and then turned it in.
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Let me just double check. I don't want to mislead anybody. Let me just double check that. Because it was, first of all, I felt like I was in a deposition, which is not supposed to be an IA. I'm pretty sure. I've been in a lot of them. But let me
it's becoming a common practice amongst up and down California, but my beloved, thank God, my beloved LAPD doesn't do that. So
yeah, they summarize it. They basically find me guilty in her document.
Does she say, does she frame the allegations and makes an adjudication?
Yes. The end of the IA by her says code of conduct, job knowledge, sustained, blah, 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 why it's sustained. And there's a summary above it that talks about.
Okay. So just to give you a couple of more things. I just got hired by a city outside of LA as a witness expert. Same thing. He saw me. I think a sergeant says, hey, bro, you got to check out his podcast. He did. He calls me, he goes, sir, you know what? Watching all your interviews, I feel like I'm not alone. I can sleep better. I know that the process is the punishment, really, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Hey, you mind taking a look at my IA? Not a problem. I took a look at it and I said, this thing's got holes, bro. So he goes, you mind if I want you on my team? I don't care if I have to pay you out of pocket. I go, no, not a problem. I'm going to hook you up with my attorney. So I connected with her attorney. She proceeds to tell me, hey, what do you think about this case? I go, you know what? This thing has got more holes than Swiss cheese. And she says, okay, I'd like to bring you on board. Send me your CB and your bio because I'm going to get you on what they call it PORAC. It's their association. It's like the biggest association in the state of California. And so, okay, cool. She says, send me your fee schedule. This is how much I charge, minimum 10 hours without body-worn video. Boom. Bro, I get it. He has one allegation. He has a conduct unbecoming. He has a work duty, not working, no work permit off duty, and the killer of them all, dishonesty. And he's been waiting for 1.5 years for his arbitration. And so, bro, 2 allegations because the Cubo wasn't sustained. I wrote about close to 12 pages of I cooked this IO. And one of the things that I realized, and this is why I bring it up, is because he goes on the record to say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm an attorney. However, I've been hired by the city to be the fact finder. I'm the investigator of this case. And this is what he had the nerves to say, quote unquote, I am a third neutral party. Okay, that sounds great. I'm looking at his investigation, bro, and there's a headings of findings. And in the findings beneath the headings, it has 3 allegations and he sustained both. Hold on a second. You just got done saying that you're going to be a neutral third party. Explain to me or make me understand, how can you remain neutral but yet be an adjudicator and pretty much determine the outcome for the chief of police. That's like me and you, Mike, right now, working on a robbery case. Okay. We got this dude for like 3 fucking robberies. And all of a sudden we write it up and we go to the district attorney and say, you know what? Hey, he's guilty. As a matter of fact, go ahead and file on him because we determined that for you. You know what the DA is going to say? You know what? Fuck off, guys.
Yeah,
you guys are investigators. You are detectives. You are not the decision makers. So my point is that when you decide to wear 2 hats, it completely just tarnishes the entire process.
Well,
because here's the deal. Now, think of it this way. To your case, what if the captain or the chief actually determined that those allegations were not sustained or unfounded? How does that make the lieutenant?
How you have an IA lieutenant that looks like it's cooked?
Yeah. They're gonna look at the lieutenant and say, the lieutenant's gonna say, well, I thought it was imagine her testifying. Imagine her testifying.
That's why I wanted a lawsuit, because it would have been great to hear that. But
it would have been great to hear.
How long was the lieutenant off the street? The lieutenant was sergeant and off the street for 2 months as an IA lieutenant. No schooling, no background, no investigative background. I will tell you, this is my opinion. Whenever I say something that's my opinion, this is my opinion. She was just a person asking the questions. That was all determined 100%. And documented by somebody else. That was all written up. Bro, they broke it down. The use of force on the ground where they tried to accuse me of the choke, they broke it down to the tenths of a second. Like I'm looking at this going, you don't put that much into a like a robbery case. The way they investigated this, the way the questions were asked, and the way this was presented, my buddy, my best friend all along was like, bro, you're cooked. And I'm like, there's no way. I didn't do anything to get cooked. Like, he's like, they're setting you up. They're coming at you. I've refused to. Do you know I went into my interview like a moron with no attorney?
Yeah.
I thought like you saw it.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe, like
I have nothing to hide for. I'm completely, I'm transparent. But people do that. I've done that too myself. I don't need to because I have nothing to hide. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
totally.
So maybe I got to.
Now, of course, my ADHD kicked in. What I meant to say is that in this case that I got hired, after I turned it in, she says, this is good stuff. Would you come in and testify? Not a problem. So I testified about maybe 3 weeks ago in front of a commission, civil service commission. Mind you, they were hand selected by the city manager, the city attorney. Okay. So it's kangaroo court. It's our version of a border rights hearing.
I never
completely kangaroo, bro. I went in there and on direct, they were all writing, and take, I felt like I was educating the hearing officers, the commissioners that were like asking me questions about preponderance and false statements, and I say, hey man, I said in a very professional way, this is my bread and butter. This is what I get hired for because I've actually fired cops for false statements and it's not easy. It takes a lot. So anyways, on cross-examination, just to give you a highlight, she was so condescending, bro. She had the nerves to say, you know what, Sergeant Marachi, you have, what did she say? She goes, you have a problem with the word findings. You seem to have a problem with the word findings. And I said, ma'am, you know what? I don't have a problem with the word findings. What I have a problem with is when you use the heading of findings and then you proceed to frame 3 allegations and then adjudicate them as sustained and then turn it into the chief of police. That's not your job. Your job is to investigate. And that's it. That's only it. That's the only practice that I have known. That's the way we should practice. That's the way all agencies practice. But apparently in this particular case, that was not the way.
I sent you the transcripts. You can see the questions. I'll never forget coming out of there going, I've been on homicide depots and I've not felt that pressured like that I did something wrong. And I'm thinking an IA is for findings. An IA interview is not guilt. An IA is supposed to be, this is your version of what happened. I'm going to ask you these questions.
Yes.
I could go all day with this. I listen. The only reason we're talking about this now is I finally broke down and it was so traumatic. I finally broke down and listened to it all and heard what he said. And it triggered me because I'm like, I cannot believe this dude said this. Like, I couldn't believe that. And then nobody caught the fact that he said all that at the scene and then said the opposite in IA. what really pissed me off was he said I dumped it on him. That really sent me off the roof because I don't dump nothing
Yeah.
on nobody. I love arrest. And by him writing the affidavit, he got the credit. So I'm
Yeah.
not dumping anything on anybody. I literally
Yeah.
said to that dude, like, I'll take it, I'll write it. And he's like, no, I saw what happened. He's like, I got it.
I got it. Yeah. You know what, Mike? Unfortunately, like we said already earlier, you know what? Don't let this define you. What you're doing now is so valuable. It's a lot of people get to hear because you guys are very popular. You got a great audience, and I'm here to help you turn those frustrations and being pissed off into education and motivation to ensure that there is not a Mike out there that's going through the same thing.
Yeah,
and that's what this is really all about, bro.
That
And needless to say, this guy won. So this case, he won. He actually got reinstated. In a 30-year history in this particular city, they have fired over 15 officers. And this kangaroo court, this has never happened. So right now, that city is in shambles because they cannot believe that the chief of police went forward with this termination. Now they got to pay him a year and a half worth of pay with 9% interest to get his job back. So
and I we'll wrap it up in the next 5 minutes, but I want to say I suffered mentally and emotionally bad from this, and that's the point. If I would have came out with this 2 years ago, I'd have been screaming and yelling on here like a maniac because I was so distraught about what happened to me. I've had 2 years to reflect on it. Like you just said, this platform, Counterculture, myself, is so that this doesn't happen to anybody else. We've got an expert witness right here that's real close to our network that we can always reach out to and get you help. We have attorneys we know. Don't get screwed over. Always get an attorney. I don't care how minimal you think the case is. Get an attorney. That's the biggest mistake I made, was not getting an attorney from the rip. I thought, man, dude, I've been great all my career. I've worked so hard. This will never happen to Mike Dilks. It'll never happen to me because I didn't do anything. And I will, like I said, was that arrest great? No, it wasn't the greatest. Was it my greatest work? If I was going to put my top 5 arrests up there, that one would not be in the top 100. Did I have probable cause? I wholeheartedly, to the day I die, yes, I did. Moraes seems to think I did as well because he explained it. Could I have done things better? Absolutely. Could I always could do better. You can always improve. But did I deserve to get screwed the way I did? I do not believe so. I think this was a witch hunt. You guys make the decision. You've seen what you saw, and that's you saw it. I mean, that's my take on it. And I'm not here to feel sorry for myself. I'm glad I'm out of law enforcement. I'm glad I'm gone. I'm glad I'm gone from that agency. I'm glad I can help bring awareness and give guys a platform. This is unheard of for a 23-year street cop and a guy that spent most of his career in IA.
I did.
To be sitting here talking. This is unheard of. And it's unheard of to have these resources at your fingertips to be able to message us and get assistance, because for so many years we just bent over and took it. And now we don't.
I'm a little street, Mike. Let's not get it twisted. I am a little street. Not 23 years, but I'll push the sled with you, brother.
But you also did the other side. And tell us about that. You did
I defended cops.
You did the side of the other side of law.
Yes. So in LAPD,
protected cops.
Correct. So when you guys call your union reps, we have a full-blown dedicated unit called Officer Rep Section to defend cops for all these reasons that we're talking about today. I love defending cops so much that I did 2 tours. So yeah, I'm pretty well-rounded because
people will see the IA guy and assume you're some screw everybody. But you were an IA guy, but then you voluntarily went to a unit that also protected the police.
Yes, twice.
Yeah, and
2 tours.
You could be a if you wanted to be. You could be an agency witness. You could be on the other side of this. You could choose to be a defense attorney witness. You could choose for the agency to hire you back on as an assistant with all your knowledge. But here you are with helping out Counterculture, helping out us, talking to me, talking to everybody here as a voice to show that we don't have to take it. There's a way to fight back.
And you know what, brother? This is so much more valuable, purposeful, and there's meaning. And we're relevant. We're more relevant now than you can actually imagine, man. And I'm so happy we connected and thank you for the opportunity, bro. I really do appreciate
everybody, it. The IA guy, check out his Instagram page, his podcast. He's a great dude. He's here to help. I'm here to help. You know, if you get in my DMs and somebody screwed you, we will be sitting right here. There can be 3 of us on this screen.
Yeah.
We can put it all up. We can call everybody out.
Call me whenever, bro.
Yep.
I'm here for you.
I appreciate it, Marlon. Thank you so much.
You got it, bro.
All right. Take care.